Brought here 10 years ago by this former breeder. He says that anyone who buys a pit bull should be aware that they've been bred as a fighting dog.
Well, I have no regrets on bringing these dogs into the country. I do think it's sad that, like people, I mean, somebody must have brought the Rottweilers into this country. Somebody must have brought German Shepherds into this country, etc., etc. So I don't feel that I did anything wrong.
The government has been considering what to do about dangerous dogs since last summer. A number of proposals have been tabled, which include forcing owners to muzzle dogs, a new offence of letting a dog be dangerously out of control, additional powers for the police to destroy uncontrolled dogs, and a fixed penalty system for owners whose dogs are without identification tags. But when the RSPCA meet the Home Secretary later this week, they'll tell him that unless the proposals include a registration scheme, the government's measures will be half-baked.
In essence, what we say is that none of the new measures that we've seen would prevent any of the attacks that have happened to date, nor any that are likely to happen in the future.
At least 2 people have been killed in attacks by uncontrolled dogs in the last 2 years. Many more have been injured. Children are most at risk. The dog was taken away to be destroyed. The attacks have led to calls from the Home Secretary to ban dangerous dogs.
I think one should look upon the danger of dogs in various categories, and there are 2 breeds that are trained for fighting and killing, and they should be looked at quite separately, and we are prepared to consider a ban of those breeds, provided that a ban can be made to work.
American Pit Bulls were brought to Britain in the late 1970s. They now number over 10,000. They were originally bred as fighting dogs, and in the United States, they're thought to have killed at least 27 people. The man who brought the pit bull to Britain says that anyone who buys the animal should be aware of the danger.
I have no regrets on bringing these dogs into the country. I do think it's sad that, like people, I mean, somebody must have brought the Rottweilers into this country. Somebody must have brought German Shepherds into this country, etc., etc. So I don't feel that I did anything wrong.
Dog fights such as this are illegal, and since last summer, the government has been considering new legislation on dangerous dogs. Proposals tabled include forcing owners to muzzle dogs, additional powers for the police to destroy uncontrolled dogs, and fines for owners whose dogs don't have identification tags. Tonight, Kennel Club officials met the Home Secretary. Tomorrow, the RSPCA will tell him they want a national dog registration scheme introduced. Humanely destroyed. Whitehall sources suggest that the entire pit bull breed and this Japanese toser will be removed from Britain. From midnight tonight, it will be illegal to import any such dog. The recent spate of attacks on the public by pit bulls has prompted the government to act.
I believe that everyone in the country will have been shaken by the attacks over the last few weeks, and particularly the horrific attack on Ruxana Khan at the weekend. I have discussed this matter with my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, and we are persuaded that urgent action must be taken. I can tell the House that from midnight tonight, the import of dogs bred for fighting, such as the American Pit Bull Terriers and Japanese tosers, will be banned.
Tomorrow afternoon, the Home Secretary will clarify some of the government's plans. This is likely to mean that at least 10,000 dogs will be destroyed. Home Office sources say it's not yet clear how such measures will be enforced. But the RSPCA says a cull is not the solution.
We do not believe that the destruction of any category or particular breed of animal is an appropriate response. Rather, we would seek to eliminate the breed through the neutering of those animals, through the promotion of the responsible ownership of all dogs across the board.
Out of the small number of pit bulls that have been rogue dogs in these incidents with the child and so on, these are not typical representatives of the breed. But consequently, it seems that the breed entire is going to pay the price. And I don't see what kind of justice that is.
Customs officers will enforce the import ban. Anyone caught trying to smuggle a banned dog into the country faces an unlimited fine and up to 7 years in prison. A Home Office spokesman also confirmed that more legislation to control all dogs, especially large breeds like Rottweilers, Alsatians and Dobermans, will follow in the autumn. The most recent victim of a pit bull attack, 6-year-old Ruxana Khan, is recovering in hospital. Cards, flowers and toys have been sent in by well-wishers, but her mother says she may never get over her ordeal.
She's still in pain, you know, and she keeps telling me all the time that she knows what happened. And she dreams about it as well, you know, and she's crying in her dreams.
These latest proposals are the first radical steps by the government to eradicate illegal dog fights, encourage responsible dog ownership and reduce...
Plus, Mr. Major insists, pay rises.
A reminder, the government is to push through legislation to ban and put down all dogs bred for fighting. That would include American Pit Bull Terriers, the sort of dog which savaged Roxana Khan at the weekend, Japanese Tosas and band dogs. Labour said tonight Rottweilers should also be on the list. They would be put down humanely. The Home Secretary, Mr. Baker, is to make a statement in the Commons tomorrow. The import of Pit Bull Terriers and Tosas has already been banned as of midnight tonight. Mr. Major told MPs such dogs had no place in our homes.
This owner brought his 2 pit bulls down to the Commons today to try to prove that many were friendly and safe, and to try to persuade MPs not to ban the breed. But it was too late. The horrendous pictures over the past 3 days of the injuries suffered by 6-year-old Roxana Khan when she was attacked by a pit bull in Bradford had shocked the nation and the Prime Minister.
From midnight tonight, the import of dogs bred for fighting, such as the American Pit Bull Terriers and Japanese Tosas, will be banned. Yeah! But it is clear such dogs have no place in our homes.
Mr. Major may also have been shaken by so many stories in the newspapers demanding swift and effective government action. He called in the Home Secretary, and the two agreed the government must be seen to take appropriate action. In the Commons tomorrow, Mr. Baker will announce 2 important changes to the law. Dogs like these, dogs bred to fight and kill, will be rounded up. The government intends to take the powers to have them killed humanely, though there may be as many as 10,000 now in Britain.
We do not believe that the destruction of any category or particular breed of animal is an appropriate response. Rather, we would seek to eliminate the breed through the neutering of those animals, through the promotion of the responsible ownership of all dogs across the board.
I don't like to see what I saw on the television this morning, that they want to destroy the dogs, you know, just willy-nilly just destroy them. I don't think it's fair, because if it was a human being that was in trouble, right, well, that human being then would go to prison if he did wrong. Not every human being should go to prison, only those that do wrong. Same with the dog. They shouldn't be put to sleep for nothing.
We are quite happy that the dogs are, the American Pit Bull Terrier and the Tosa, are banned from this country. We do not agree with the wholesale slaughter of what I understand is termed dangerous dogs. And our concern is who is going to define what dangerous dogs are.
Today, Mr. Major specifically mentioned the Japanese Tosa. The owner of the only one in Britain insists it's gentle.
Distinction between ferocious animals trained for fighting and ordinary
action of the dogs. He said neutering the animals would not be enough. Animal welfare groups and dog owners say they will fight.
1 minute, Pit Bull Terriers and dogs like them can be totally docile, the Home Secretary told the Commons today, and complete killers, Mr. Baker said the next. That was why they were so dangerous and why the owning, importing and breeding of such dogs would be banned.
It is essential to rid the country of the danger from such dogs. As my right honourable friend said in the House yesterday, they have no place in our homes. It has been put to me that it would be possible to make these dogs safe by neutering them. I am advised that this policy is unlikely to be effective. If that will not be effective, the ban on dogs bred for fighting will mean, sadly, that these types of dogs have to be put down.
It was the weekend attack on Roxana Khan, the latest in a long line of similar incidents involving not just dogs like pit bulls bred to fight, but other breeds like Rottweilers and Alsatians, which has forced the government to take action and Mr. Baker to change the views he expressed just 4 days ago.
If you actually ban a breed, provided you can define it, and there's difficulties with the crossbreeds, but even if you could define it, you would have to kill all the existing dogs, and that means taking them from their homes, or else you'd have to destroy all their puppies to stop them breeding. And these are very difficult policies to carry through.
But now by bringing in a pit bull ban which goes for the dog owners and trying to couple it with new laws to deal with the wider problem of attacks by dogs like Rottweilers, which are not bred simply for fighting, the government has run the risk of appearing not to have thought things through. The point was made to the Home Secretary in the House that only a quarter of the attacks in London last year involved pit bulls.
And if he believes
that it's adequate to tackle a quarter of the problem, then many people in the country will feel that the government is falling sadly short.
Labour called Mr Baker's announcement disappointingly vague, especially on what controls there should be on dogs apart from pit bulls.
He should have said there are some dogs which certainly shouldn't be destroyed, but ought to be kept in conditions of safety. He should have imposed an obligation on owners, when they have those dogs in public places, to keep them under control, certainly on a lead, probably muzzled. He should have required the owners of those dogs to take out insurance to protect people who might be attacked by them. All those things are necessary. All those things can only be done if the government introduces a national dog register.
In fact, under questioning in the House, Mr Baker had promised some new legal action to deal with the wider problem of attacks by dogs like Rottweilers.
They and other dogs, which do attack sometimes people or other dogs, would be covered by other general legislation, other general provisions, namely to make it a criminal offence not to keep your dog properly in a public place, and also giving the court powers to issue an order specifying how the dog should be controlled, namely a muzzle in a public place, a specific dog.
But although the opposition believe that the government hasn't still acted toughly enough, some Tory MPs believe that the government has gone too far. Like the RSPCA, they believe that the idea of neutering dangerous dogs should be looked into further. Mr Baker says he will do that, but it's clear that he does not believe that that is the answer to what is a very serious problem. Michael Brunson, News at 10, Westminster.
As Michael Brunson said, the RSPCA has accused the government of overreacting. They say plans to eradicate certain breeds of dog are inappropriate and said they wouldn't cooperate with them. Many dog owners who say would be affected by the ban have said that they'll resist it.
David Britton breeds pit bulls. He has 9 puppies. 6 have already been sold in spite of recent publicity, 2 this morning. Breeders and owners, he says, won't accept losing their dogs without a fight.
I've got 6 months to find a place to hide my dogs. That's what he's given me, 6 months. To maybe organise something, a protest, maybe organise a rally with every pit bull owner and their dogs, so he can stroke the dogs and see for himself they wouldn't hurt him.
Brian Morgan says the pit bull breed has been singled out unfairly.
I try and hide him for as long as possible, because he's a loving dog. He's not violent at all.
The government says neutering won't work. Many vets disagree.
A fairer solution would be to neuter and have a compulsory muzzling policy, along with severe penalties for dogs that do bite, possibly third-party insurance.
Owners are also angry that Rottweilers and Alsatians have been excluded. Joan Thurkettle, ITN, East London.
Home Secretary Kenneth Baker confirmed that ownership of dogs such as pit bull terriers will be banned. And he said if neutering proved ineffective, they would be destroyed. Nick Knowles reports from Deal with a story that typifies the terror that such dogs arouse.